Hey man, what's happening? This Cool Water, the Digital Dope Man, here from the Barroom Chats podcast, where we discuss topics in the area of entertainment, culture, politics, business, and health. What led me to jump on this podcast today was I am watching the Shark Tank. And they cut to a segment that Kevin O'Leary gave a speech at Facebook about women in business. So that speech was paralleled with the COO of Facebook, which I forgot her name that quick. But the COO, you've seen her, you know who I'm talking about. She's the head honcho for Facebook. And then they also invited out some top business women who have came through the Shark Tank to bond and build and discuss tactics and strategies to build their business with Facebook. So what was intriguing to me was there was no African American, black women, and whatever you want to call them at the meeting. The meeting was white women and 2 Asian women. So it was about 4 white ladies and 2 Asian ladies. And then they got to sit down with the COO and they discussed, what needs to happen in order for more women to become part of the business world and the challenges of dealing and working with men, yada, yada, yada. But then they also went to a workshop where 2 individuals who worked in Facebook's monetization area and Instagram area gave them strategies and techniques to improve their business. So once again, I noticed that in this particular case, the black woman was obsolete and they were not interested nor extending an invitation to black women to come to the headquarters of Facebook and gain additional knowledge to grow the business. Now, the question comes down to is how many black entrepreneurs, aka female and male, have went through the Shark Tank and got a deal. Now, I did a video on this on YouTube where I said Shark Tank was racist some years ago, because there was a couple of black people who came through, but we never really seen the progress. The only one that I seen the progress of was the ex-NFL player that Damon Johns got with that had the rib meat packer, where he was able to pull the rib from the meat without messing it up. And they showed that segment. There was a guy, black guy, who got with, it was 2 black guys. One had a gym shoe type style company. I think he linked up with Mark Cuban, and then the guy who was a staffing agency owner and then turned around and created the Noodle Bowl. I seen the Noodle Bowl inside of Walmart's briefly. I ain't seen it since. And I also said that getting a deal with the Shark Tank is like getting a record label deal. You may get shelved and put on the shelf for 5 years before they really push you forward, if you ain't the go-to guy that they can see making into a star. So when you go and you really do this homework, for example, I got a new book out called A How-To Guide to Banking Black, and it's real elementary based. But there's a segment in there that talk about Chinese, the new global economic power. China is becoming and is one of the major players in the world when you talk about the global economy. And in addition to that, the U.S. is still one of the major global economy countries, but it's ran by Europeans. So here we go. When they invited these people out, they invited the two most predominant people, ethnicities, to come to the headquarters of a multi-billion-dollar company like Facebook and Instagram to California, and it was white women and Asian women. Black women wasn't invited, and I'm sure they wasn't invited because I'm sure there were some black female entrepreneurs who would have seized that opportunity ASAP. So when you look at the coming years of business for black folks in America, it is growing obsolete because the tunnel was being closed. The Shark Tank typically is not making a considerable amount of deals with African American people. I don't see it. I don't even watch the tank as much as I used to. I got enough game now that I get it. Every now and then, for example, now I'm watching, I tune in and get a little bit more game. But mainly the people that's coming through that door when they step in front of the sharks is white Americans, Asians, a small percentage of Hispanics, and you might get 2% or 0.5% black people. So out of every 1,000 people that go through the tank, it may be 5 black folks that actually get to go in the room and pitch for the audition to get on the show. In which case, one may get an invite to come back, but they don't mean that they get chose to go before the cameras and get filmed and they actually get on the show. And then those that actually have gotten a deal over the years, you very seldom hear about their story. You know, it was a couple of people that got with Mark Cuban, and I think they had some success, but nobody has publicized that. The Shark Tank is biased because you have a panel of white billionaires, multimillionaires, in addition to that one Negro who they have allowed to come, and it's been a couple of people. They let Charles Barkley come on there and pretend. I don't know if Shaq's been on there or not. They let the dude who I think used to run with Russell Simmons and did some stuff with Def Jam in the entertainment side. They let him come on and pretend. I'm sure he's an investor, but very rare are you going to see black investors, because what that does is it changes the paradigm. It changes the thinking. It's like Barack Obama as president. Now everybody black think they can become president if you aiming for that goal. So to see black investors on the Shark Tank switches the paradigm and changes the narrative, because now you thinking investing. I need to be investing. I need to be investing. So that message is coming across the screen and has an adverse effect and gives people confidence, in which case that's not what's happening. So to see them ladies go to Facebook and there's not one black woman in the crew lets me know that these people are playing for power. Everything that Dr. Claude Anderson speaks about, they're playing for the position of power, controlling and owning the resources. They're not interested in your economic prosperity. Even when you go out and you dip into other industries, you begin to see the game being played in the manner that it's being played. The sports industry ran, owned, and controlled by white folk. You got Negroes that's sitting there making deals, but they don't own nothing. They get a percentage, and a very tiny percentage of that. The real estate industry. I ain't yet to meet a black man or a woman who owns a skyscraper. The merchant and distribution. Amazon got that on lock. Ain't nobody doing it like Amazon and Walmart, Target, all that. I'm yet to meet. You may be an executive, you may be a CEO. You know, they put in place like, you know, John McCain, not John McCain, John own Papa John's Pizza. You know, he built up a company, franchised, made a lot of money. You know, that's their go-to Negro when they want somebody to speak about what's going on with black folks and the Republican Party, yada, yada, yada. But nowhere in the landscape of business are we seeing black men and women becoming super successful. They are those that are out there, but the media is not portraying that. The dude that bought Essence, you know, BET, Black Enterprise Magazine, John Johnson and BET, you know, they're out there, but they're not being publicized. But anytime you go into an arena like a Shark Tank, these guys are not positioning black men and women to gain astronomical amounts of wealth. I even spoke about the young man who actually created that app for the scholarships, and Lori did a deal with him. I ain't heard nothing about that app. I have not seen or heard anything about it. Somebody probably bought that off of him and got that out of his hand. Them folks was pissed when she gave him that deal. That young dude was headed towards billionaire status. Kevin O'Leary, Mark Cuban went off because it's a code with them. They got a code of conduct too. A lot of people, you know, you hear, you know, cats like Boyce and Tariq Nasheed and Dr. Anderson talk about this code of conduct. They got a code that y'all don't know because you're not paying attention to the code. They are not in the business of making multi-millionaire from black people unless they are part of the process and control the narrative. You see? So, I'm not going to be too long-winded. Facebook is biased. Instagram, biased. When you move up and you go into the front office, the executives, the COOs, the CEOs, the CFOs, them folks is white. When you look at the team, the engineering team, the marketing team, the analytical team, the data analysis team, the majority of them folks is white or they Asian. You might get Hispanic in there somewhere because they all feel like they family. But they not fooling with you. They'll hire one or two blacks to meet the quota, but they ain't finna do nothing major. And your role is not gonna be major enough where you're gonna have any real pull and play. So I just wanted to drop that, man. Facebook is biased in a low key kind of way, especially with these ads now that you can't, you know, how you really can't target, but a certain kind of crowd. You know, they got it where you know, you could do some targeting, but it can't be based on culture. You feel me? The Shark Tank is biased and discriminatory in some regards because, again, every time I see an update from an entrepreneur that's been on there from these young white youth who's 18, now they 23, 24, to updates with these dudes doing programs and events, it has no bearing on the African American community, and we not getting no power, control, nor wealth as a result. So I'm gonna jump off of here, man. It's Cool Water Digital Dope Man. Check me out at ishiphopdead.com. Look for me at thedigitaldopeman.com. Please subscribe, like, and share this information so that people can begin to have some serious dialogue. Peace and stay blessed.